Falling to pick 144 looked like a blow to Shedeur Sanders. Until it wasn't. NFL insiders now believe the slide was strategic, an institutional effort to mute his growing influence and tamper with his perceived value. But the goal was to keep him quiet. It backfired spectacularly. The lower pick only amplified his underdog narrative, making his $14 million jersey revenue in weeks all the more disruptive. If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed. What began as a quiet fifth-round selection became the loudest statement of the season. That visibility, brand control, and narrative mastery now matter more than draft pedigree. What the league saw as a containment strategy became rocket fuel. Sanders flipped marginalization into leverage, using the draft snub not as a setback, but as a spotlight. And in doing so, he laid bare the NFL's growing inability to control the message or the messenger. 2 minutes ago, Shedeur Sanders broke the rules and made the NFL look prehistoric in the process. This isn't just a flashy endorsement story. This is a direct hit on the league's entire financial foundation. Nike's decision to ink a deal with Shedeur worth hundreds of millions before the draft wasn't a stunt. It was a strategic acquisition of cultural infrastructure, a move that ignored football convention and redefined how value is created, measured, and monetized in professional sports. Shedeur didn't walk into the league looking for approval. He walked in pre-approved. Not by scouts or general managers, but by one of the most powerful consumer brands in the world. And that alone flipped the dynamic. Because when Nike treats you like a media empire and not just a prospect, you're no longer playing under the NFL's rules. You're running your own playbook entirely. Nike didn't sign a quarterback. They acquired platform. One that's media-savvy, legacy-backed, and Gen Z native. Capable of turning wrist-flex celebrations into viral currency and merchandise drops into million-dollar events. They saw what the NFL refused to acknowledge. The most valuable player isn't just the one who performs on Sundays. It's the one who commands attention 7 days a week. And here's where it gets uncomfortable for the league. Nike made this deal before the draft. Not after Shedeur proved himself in a preseason game. Not after he threw his first touchdown. Before. Because they weren't betting on performance. They were betting on presence. On his ability to shape conversations, move product, and build cross-generational resonance from day one. And that's exactly what he did. The deal was linked directly to his rookie contract with the Cleveland Browns, which contained a clause that the NFL had quite literally never seen before. The prime equity clause. For the first time, a rookie was given a direct stake in every dollar made from his name, image, and likeness. From jersey sales to sponsorships, digital content to media licensing. Shedeur gets a cut, not a signing bonus, not a backloaded incentive. Equity. This isn't semantics. It's structural upheaval. The NFL has always operated under the assumption that rookies enter as subordinates. You get picked, you show up, you play the game. And if you're lucky and compliant, you earn your payday years down the line. But Shedeur didn't wait. He rewrote the entry-level terms entirely. He came in as a stakeholder, a co-architect of his own brand ecosystem. And then he immediately proved the model right. Within weeks of his debut, Shedeur generated $14 million from jersey sales alone. That's not hype. That's a fatal blow to the rookie compensation model. Let's be clear. His 4-year rookie contract is worth $4.6 million. Total. Yet in a matter of weeks, he made triple that off merchandise. That revenue didn't depend on a single touchdown. It didn't require all-pro status or media coach interviews. It came from brand gravity, from narrative value, from fans who saw him not just as a player, but as a symbol of something new. And the NFL's old system couldn't look more broken in contrast. The league's compensation framework was designed to keep rookies economically tethered, to suppress their early leverage, force long-term compliance, and reward only those who succeeded within its narrow definitions of value. But Shedeur exposed just how outdated that thinking is. He proved that early career players can generate enterprise-level revenue completely independent of on-field performance. That's not an exception. That's the new baseline, which brings us to the draft itself. Shedeur's fall to the 144th pick wasn't about talent. It wasn't about readiness. It was a calculated attempt to curb his influence, a move by NFL insiders to downplay his commercial momentum by stripping him of perceived prestige. In theory, a fifth-round placement should make him easy to control, to underpay, to ignore. Instead, it became the best thing that could have happened to him. The drop amplified his underdog status. It fed into a narrative of defiance, of a player rejected by the system, yet embraced by the people. Nike capitalized on that instantly, launching a campaign that leaned hard into legacy, individuality, and resistance to institutional gatekeeping. Times Square billboards, retro-inspired cleats honoring Deion Sanders, viral choreography on TikTok, custom merch flying off shelves. All before his first NFL snap. He didn't need the league's validation. He brought his own. And this is where the tension gets even sharper. The NFL isn't just uncomfortable with Shedeur because he's successful. They're uncomfortable because the success is replicable. That's the part they can't manage. If one rookie can come in with equity, a pre-built brand, and millions in sales, others will follow. Nil deals have already created a generation of players who understand the value of their identity before turning pro. Shedeur simply proved what that identity can be worth. Now, agents are rethinking rookie contracts. Marketing teams are reevaluating their draft strategies. Teams are wondering if they've missed out on new forms of capital that don't show up on film. And quietly, executives are terrified that the whole rookie compensation system, the one that's helped maintain financial control for decades, is about to collapse under the weight of one player's blueprint. Shedeur's rise wasn't just business. It was a philosophical shift. Nike's approach focused on sustained cultural capital. The NFL's approach? Short-term roster calculus. One invested in long-term storytelling. The other tried to contain it. And now the contrast couldn't be more obvious. One is growing more powerful with every drop, every post, every activation. The other is holding on to a shrinking definition of what value even means. Shedeur didn't just show the league a different way. He showed that the league's way might not work anymore. He's monetizing visibility, leveraging identity, turning public appearances into assets and merchandise into media. He's turned his rookie year into a masterclass in how to own your narrative when the system was built to write it for you. And the NFL can't undo it. They can't ban future rookies from seeking equity clauses without risking a public backlash. They can't ignore the jersey numbers without revealing the cracks in their merchandising assumptions. They can't keep pretending that influence and virality are separate from value, because they aren't. They are the value now. The rookie playbook is dead. The whole idea that you come in quiet, work your way up, and maybe get a shoe deal in year 5? Gone. Now, if you've got a name, a following, a strategy, and the right partners, you can enter the league with more power than the team that drafts you. Shedeur did. And now, the NFL faces a reckoning. Can the league adapt to a world where players arrive as their own brands, their own media channels, their own revenue centers? Can it adjust its archaic rookie models to meet a future where quarterbacks double as chief brand officers and co-founders of their own enterprises? Or will it keep clinging to a system that can no longer contain the stars it helped create? Because here's the reality. Shedeur's story isn't about one player breaking through. It's about the walls themselves coming down. There's no turning back now. Shedeur Sanders just shifted the ground beneath the NFL's feet, and the aftershocks are spreading fast. We're not watching a fluke moment. We're watching a system collapse in real time, a structure that's relied on uniformity, control, and delayed reward now struggling to contain a player who walked in already winning. And let's be honest, the league wasn't built to handle someone like this. Shedeur's not just a quarterback. He's a walking enterprise, a media hub, a brand strategist, a cultural force. And when Nike locked him down with a pre-draft deal worth hundreds of millions, they weren't gambling on passing yards. They were investing in cultural relevance. They bypassed the league entirely and went straight to the source. The athlete as a product. This wasn't an endorsement. It was a strategic acquisition. Nike didn't sign Shedeur because he could win games. They signed him because he could command attention. Because in 2026, attention is the most valuable commodity in the business of sports. and Shedeur owns it like no rookie ever has. But here's where it gets brutal for the NFL. That attention didn't just make him rich. It made him powerful. And that power didn't come from the team. It came from his contract. The prime equity clause wasn't some gimmick. It was a declaration. A statement that Shedeur isn't here to be managed. He's here to partner. He negotiated a rookie deal that gives him a direct stake in the revenue streams tied to his own identity. Jersey sales? He gets a cut. Media rights? His face, his profit. Sponsorships? Digital content licensing? It all flows back to him. That's not a paycheck. That's ownership. And it's the first time a rookie in the NFL has walked in with those terms. Not a bonus. Not a side hustle. Equity. That clause reclassified him from employee to stakeholder before his first snap. And then, almost immediately, he proved he was worth every penny. $14 million. That's how much Shedeur brought in from jersey sales alone in just weeks after his debut. $14 million. That's over 3 times what the Browns are paying him over 4 years. His contract is $4.6 million. He made more than triple that without even playing a full season. And the best part? He doesn't need the NFL to make that money. That revenue isn't performance-based. It's presence-based. Shedeur doesn't have to win games to win financially. His brand, his story, his image are already profitable assets. That breaks the entire logic of the NFL's rookie compensation system, which is designed to keep players economically dependent on team success. Now, he's proving that a player can be financially untouchable before the league even knows what to do with him. And this wasn't an accident. This wasn't luck. It was planned, executed, and amplified by Nike's marketing machine. And that machine went into overdrive before the season even started. They rolled out a full campaign. Custom cleats, vintage Air DT Max 96 sneakers nodding to Deion Sanders' primetime legacy, viral TikToks, wrist flex celebrations, ESPN integrations, retail placements, Times Square billboards, everywhere. Nike didn't just promote Shedeur, they positioned him. They framed him as the future, as a bridge between legacy and innovation, between the old NFL and the new attention economy. Between the dad who defined cool in the 90s and the son who's redefining power in the 2020s. And fans responded, because this wasn't just about product. It was about identity, about being part of something disruptive, unapologetic, and unprecedented. Shedeur wasn't just an athlete. He became a symbol of the new era, an icon who came in through the side door the league didn't even realize was open. And the NFL, they're reeling. Because this wasn't just a moment. It was a proof of concept. If one rookie can walk in with a pre-existing brand, negotiate equity, and flip the entire revenue model upside down, who's next? That's the question haunting every GM, every agent, every owner. Because Shedeur's success isn't isolated. It's contagious. College stars are watching. Nil players are watching. Future draft picks are already planning. And they're asking themselves, why would I accept a standard deal when I can build my own lane? That's the core of this shift. The NFL used to be the destination, the place where you proved yourself, where the league bestowed value. But Shedeur showed up with the value already proven. He didn't need to wait for approval. He built his own structure, made his own money, and negotiated from strength instead of scarcity. And that strength came from narrative control. He owned the story. From his draft slide, 144th overall, a blatant attempt by teams to devalue his influence, to his response, leaning harder into his underdog arc, embracing the disrespect and monetizing the tension. What was supposed to diminish him only elevated him. It made him more relatable, more compelling, and more profitable. The league tried to downplay him. Instead, they gave him the perfect origin story. And Nike, they turned it into a movement. They didn't market an athlete. They launched a cultural campaign, a generational blueprint, a statement about what kind of player holds power in this new landscape, one who is self-aware, media-savvy, and ready to build a business, not just a career. The NFL's playbook didn't account for this. Their model was never designed to support athlete entrepreneurship at this scale. Their rookie wage structure, licensing rules, and media rights deals were all built to preserve control and limit risk. But Shedeur is all risk to the system because he bypassed it. And now the system looks obsolete. If you're running a team right now, how do you even evaluate talent in this new world? Is a fifth-round pick still a fifth-round pick if he sells $14 million in jerseys? Is a quarterback's value still tied to his performance or to his platform? And if a player can monetize his identity better than the league, what is the league offering him anymore? These aren't rhetorical questions. They're existential ones. And the NFL has no easy answers. Because this isn't about changing a clause in a contract or tweaking a marketing strategy. This is about rethinking the entire relationship between athlete and institution. And Shedeur Sanders didn't just start that conversation. He kicked the door wide open and made it impossible to ignore. He's not asking for permission. He's not waiting to be promoted. He's already arrived, and he brought his own business model with him. So where does that leave the NFL? In a dangerous place, a reactive place, a league that spent decades defining value through on-field production, now watching as value gets redefined in real time through influence, identity, and ownership. And it's happening whether they like it or not. Because Shedeur didn't just challenge the system. He made it look small. He exposed its blind spots, its insecurity, its outdated rules. And now the only way forward is through transformation, because the next wave of athletes won't be quiet. They won't sign away their rights without a fight. They won't wait 5 years to monetize their identity. They'll walk in with brands, teams, content, and contracts that reflect what they're actually worth. Shedeur made that path real, visible, tangible, profitable, and now there's no going back. He's not just rewriting how quarterbacks are developed. He's dismantling the entire process of athlete commodification, and he's doing it with the full support of a brand that knows exactly what it's building, the future. If you're watching this happen in real time and your jaw is still on the floor like the video, drop a comment and let us know. Has Shedeur just triggered the next era of athlete empowerment? Is this the end of the rookie wage era as we know it? And subscribe, because this isn't just a football story. It's a cultural revolution in cleats. The NFL is officially on the defensive, and not in the way it's used to. For years, the league has operated on a simple formula. Control the narrative, control the money. From draft day to contract negotiations, rookies were expected to enter quietly, follow the process, and be grateful for the opportunity. Any outside noise? Any premature ambition? Shut it down. Humble them early. Keep them in line. But Shedeur Sanders didn't come in to play that game. He didn't wait for an opportunity. He brought one. He didn't show up to be molded. He came with a fully formed blueprint. And what the NFL is starting to realize far too late is that this rookie didn't just join the league. He walked in as a threat to everything it was built on. Let's go back to that $14 million. That number keeps echoing because it says what the league won't. The old way of assigning value is officially dead. Shedeur didn't need a breakout season. He didn't need a primetime game or a playoff run. He didn't need the NFL's stamp of approval to generate enterprise-level revenue. He needed a name, a narrative, a brand, and a contract that finally gave him control over all of it. That prime equity clause wasn't just clever legal language. It was a revolution printed on paper. It made Shedeur the first NFL rookie to actually own part of his commercial output, not just benefit from it, not just get paid for it. Own it. And the league has no defense for that. They can't penalize him for being too successful. They can't retroactively raise his draft placement. They can't tell Nike to tone it down. The structure wasn't just disrupted. It was exposed. Because once you see a fifth-round pick make more money from merchandise in a few weeks than the value of his entire contract, the myth that rookies need to prove themselves before they're allowed to profit completely shattered. And it's not just about money, it's about influence. Nike's campaign didn't wait for the NFL to decide whether Shedeur was a star. They made him one. The rollout was a masterclass in cultural saturation. Retro cleats tying him to his father's legacy, modern aesthetics targeting Gen Z consumers, digital content that felt native to the internet, not manufactured by a corporate PR team. They weren't just selling Shedeur as a player. They were positioning him as a symbol of self-determination, generational continuity, and cultural fluency. The NFL didn't create that narrative. It couldn't. It wouldn't. But Nike did, and fans followed. And that's the part the league can't stop. Because Shedeur's rise isn't about stats or snaps. It's about sovereignty. He has control over how he's seen, where he's seen, and who profits when he's seen. That kind of agency is almost non-existent in the NFL, where media access is managed, branding is centralized, and individuality is often treated as a distraction. But Shedeur made it the main event. He turned media appearances into monetized assets, social media into distribution channels, game day into just one piece of a much bigger puzzle. He's operating on a level where football is part of the brand, not the brand itself. And that scares the league. Because now, every player who sees a success story is going to ask the same question. Why am I giving my likeness away for free? For decades, that question was kept quiet. Players didn't push back, or they did. They didn't have the leverage to make it count. But Shedeur walked into the league with leverage, not because of his draft status, but because he didn't need the NFL to give him a platform. He brought one with him. And now, the NFL doesn't just have a Shedeur problem. It has a precedent problem. Because if one rookie can negotiate for equity, others will too. If one fifth-rounder can generate $14 million from branding, then draft order stops being a financial ceiling. If one campaign can outshine the league's own marketing machine, teams will have to rethink what they're even selling. The idea that a franchise builds a player's brand, that concept is done. Players like Shedeur show up pre-built, and the franchise becomes the accessory, not the other way around. And here's the twist. This doesn't have to be a bad thing. If the NFL could embrace this shift, evolve with it, and partner with these new era athletes instead of resisting them, it could open up a new wave of engagement, creativity, and profit. But so far, the league looks rattled, defensive, caught off guard by a blueprint it never saw coming. Because it wasn't created in a boardroom. It was created in culture. Shedeur Sanders isn't waiting for anyone to crown him. He already claimed the throne and monetized it. And now, the NFL has a choice: adjust to the new rules, or keep losing to the players who no longer need his permission. If you're watching this unfold and can't believe how fast everything is changing, hit that like button. Drop a comment. Do you think Shedeur's deal just permanently changed the way rookies enter the league? Could we be heading into an era where players demand equity from day one? And make sure to subscribe, because if Shedeur just ended the old NFL economy, we'll be here to cover what replaces it.